Can I beat Pokémon Emerald using only the fire starters? Oh yeah, and it's a hardcore Nuzlocke. This is a modded version of the game with the entire Pokédex, with the exception of Scarlet and Violet, of course. I'll get a new starter after each gym, but since I have plenty of experience with the early Pokémon, I decided to start with Gen 8 and work my way backwards. And at the end of the video, I'll give you a definitive ranking of all of the fire starters. So stick around to hear some random YouTubers' pointless opinions. Before we begin, if you appreciate this content, be sure to subscribe because I'd really appreciate that, leave a like, and tell me in the comments who is your favorite fire starter and why is it Charmander. Let's get started. I name myself Fire Guy and start by getting a score bunny from Professor Birch's bag. This is another unique aspect of the run. Since I didn't want to have 8 Pokemon all with the Blaze ability, because that would kind of suck, instead I will give most of these guys their hidden abilities. For this rabbit, that just so happens to be Libero. Libero? I don't know how you say it. This incredible ability changes his type to match the last move he used, meaning he always gets Stab. Without it, the first gym would have been impossible. I named this bunny Zuko, and off we go to fight May. But since Zuko becomes normal type with a tackle, Water Gun doesn't do all that much. Awesome. And we take the Mudkip out in short order. After being emotional support for Wally, so he can catch his own Pokemon, I meet Glasses Guy, who says that I must not be a good trainer because I'm well groomed and maintained. But he's just perpetuating the stereotype of the gross, dirty Pokemon trainer. I'll show him by becoming the best trainer in all of Hoenn. Zuko learns Double Kick, and it's time to kick Roxanne's big nose. First, her 2 Geodudes each fall to a single Double Kick. That was simple. Again, his ability is awesome. Now, it's time for the nose. He's got pretty good defense, and heals himself with a berry. After lowering my speed twice, Roxanne uses a potion, and then she uses another potion, before I finally kick her nose right out of town. This gets Zuko to level 16, meaning he evolves as soon as the fight is over. Now he is a rabbit, but with a onesie. Now that I have the first badge, I can get another encounter. On my way to the secret fire starter cave, which I can't tell you about, I encounter a Jolteon, and then a Glaceon. These encounters are remnants of a different run I wanted to do in this ROM hack, but we'll just say it's a sneak peek of a future run. Anyway, I find a Litten who has Intimidate. Another cool thing about this ROM is you can throw Pokeballs just by pressing the R button. It's a simple, yet much appreciated change. I immediately use Lil Litten, called Endeavor, to destroy an Aqua Grunt and his pooch, getting back some stolen goods and saving Pico the Wingull. Next, we have another May battle. I start with Endeavor, whose Intimidate does nothing against the Torkoal. Oh well. I hit her with some double kicks and lick, but am fire spinned in the process, meaning I now can't swap. I get really low on HP, and my only option is to swap to Fire Fang and just hope that I get a flinch. Which I get, and then he misses, just as Fire Spin lets up, leaving me with only 8 HP. Yikes. I pivot to Zuko to take out the Fire Squirtle in a single kick. Last is her Mudkip, who would normally be a problem for fire Pokemon if it weren't for Zuko. This rabbit is legit. I can't believe though I almost lost Endeavor like 5 minutes after getting him. That would have sucked. I board a tiny ship headed to the second gym in Dewford Town, but my leisurely boat ride is rudely interrupted by my so-called father. Who gave him this number anyway? I literally just got this phone. We dock the boat and I immediately head to Broly's gym, though I am concerned about this one. You'll see why soon enough. We leave with Machop and a newly evolved Endeavor. The Machop falls in 2 Fire Fangs and only manages to use a Bulk Up. That was a pretty solid start. And I level up. Next is the Meditite, who I Fire Fang in a single hit. Not bad so far, but his last Pokemon is the real issue, Makuhita. You see, this guy is so fat that fire does half damage. So after a single Fire Fang, he starts using Bulk Up, meaning Ember is now a better option. I'm just hoping to get a burn, and I do really quickly. That was super lucky. After several more weak Embers, Broly uses a Super Potion, and then just keeps using Bulk Up. I wish I had a special move that wasn't Fire type right about now, but 'twas not to be. So we start back up with embers and with bulk ups. If he ever decides to actually hit me, I'm a goner. But hopefully I do enough for Zuko to come in and finish the fight. And yet, he chooses to bulk himself up right into the grave. He's probably not even gonna fit. I figured a burn would make this fight much easier, but I'm not gonna lie. It was super lucky getting a burn that early, and Endeavor probably should have died. But he didn't, so good for him. Next, I get Fennekin, who I name Mustang. This guy is sassy and does have Blaze, because it's a heck of a lot better than Magician, in my opinion. Mustang evolves and learns Psybeam while still below the Brawly level cap, which would have made that last fight a cinch. Oh well, I can't change the order now. I do some obligatory Team Aqua stuff, not super important, and run into Professor Birch, who registers himself on my phone. That way, he can evaluate my Pokédex on the fly, wherever I am, which is just what I've always wanted. I then run into the not Professor Birch and have a bit of an issue. You see, I get fake outed by this Lombre, which he wasn't supposed to have, and then get bubbled, which he also wasn't supposed to have. You see, in Vanilla Emerald, he doesn't have either of those moves, so I was expecting a simple fight. This also means the movesets of other trainers may be different than what my guide says. Fun! Thankfully, I still take out the Lombre in another Fire Fang, but my health is quite a bit lower than I had planned. The Marsh Tomp comes out next, and I pivot to Zuko on a Water Gun, which was risky, who then becomes Fighting type. Zuko does get pretty low, but manages to beat the Marsh Tomp. May's last Pokemon is Slugma, so I bring out Mustang on a Harden, which is fine, since I kill with a few Psybeams anyway. Just for the future, trainer Pokemon like May and Team Aqua and Magma will have different movesets, but the gym leaders in Elite Four are the same as in Vanilla Emerald. Speaking of gym leaders, it's time for Wat-Sun, and I literally just now got why that's his name. It's pretty embarrassing that I never realized it before. He starts with Voltorb, who Endeavor, surprisingly, outspeeds and flinches with a Fire Fang, giving me a free kill. This brings out Manectric, who paralyzes me, but I heal with a berry and deal a decent chunk with another Fire Fang. He paralyzes me again, but I hit through paralysis as he heals with a berry. I stay in, and a Shockwave does way more to me than I thought, but it didn't crit, and I hit through paralysis one more time to kill the electric dog. Against his Magneton, I swap to Zuko on a Shockwave, hit with a Flame Charge for a speed boost, just in case, and kill with a double kick as he misses a Thunder Wave. His last Pokemon is Electrike, who I outspeed and almost kill with a double kick, but not quite. Watson heals, I get paralyzed by static, only to heal that. Watson heals again, and I again get paralyzed by static, which I can't heal. At this point, a crit could kill me, so Mustang comes out on a Shockwave and Psybeams the smaller dog out of existence. Against Watson, you always have to bring Cherry Berries. He's going to paralyze basically everybody. Alright, time for another starter, Tepig. Escanor, who promptly evolves, has Thick Fat, which isn't great for a Fire type. Like, who's going to be using Fire and Ice moves against a Fire type? Come on. But he is brave, so that's something. On Route 111, I find this building I didn't remember, and it's just a lame trainer hill. It's not even open yet. Gross. In Meteor Falls, I encounter Team Magma and some Aqua Dingbats, and it's revealed that Team Magma wants to make a volcano erupt, which makes a lot more sense than Sapphire's version of Team Aqua wanting it to not erupt. I never understood that. I get to Maxi at the summit of this volcano with some difficulty, but I'm not really looking forward to this fight. His Camerup's Magneton could easily kill all of my guys if I'm unlucky. Anyway, we both start with our Intimidate users. Endeavor hits 2 Rock Smashes and lowers his defense before pivoting to Escanor. I use Defense Curl, and you probably know what's coming next. A Rollout. At this HP, and with the defense drop, the Mighty Hyena falls in one hit. Thankfully, Rollout hits yet again, meaning it's going to be pretty powerful against the Camerupt as long as it doesn't miss. Which it doesn't, and it's a one-hit KO. Suck it, Maxi. That was, again, lucky for sure, but we won. And now this volcano will never erupt again. Good for us. In preparation for the Flannery fight, I try to teach somebody Dig, but no one can learn it? Okay, aside from the obvious Fox and Cat thing that surely know how to dig, According to the very reliable website Rabbit Care Tips, who I would trust with all of my rabbit-related needs, even rabbits know how to dig. I mean, Bugs Bunny lives in a hole. The point being, this is lame, and since I can't use dig, the game is forcing me to try another rollout strategy. This isn't what I wanted. My hands are tied, so I just have to do it. Anyway, against her Numel, I start with a few growls as he uses Magneton and then sets up the sun. Anticipating a fire move, Zuko quickly becomes Fire type just in time to get smacked by a Magnitude. Are you kidding me? That Numel played me like a freaking fiddle. At this point, I bring out Escanor to do what he does best. Roll around. The Numel falls after a defense curl and rollout, bringing out the Slugma to die in one hit. Next is Torkoal, who similarly dies, and finally the Camerupt, who also dies. Okay, at this point I think I've overused my rollout luck, so let's try to avoid it for now. For my victory, I get Ace the Chimchar. This guy is adamant and has Iron Fist, so that'll be a fun change. We have nothing else to do besides backtrap to Petalburg to defeat my father. I lead with Mustang against his Spinda. After a single Ember, we trade Psybeams back and forth until he falls. I had a Personberry just in case. He immediately sends out his scariest Pokemon by far, the Fat Sloth. I need to risk a crit here, so I bring out Endeavor to intimidate this guy, and I don't die. Next, we swap to Zuko on a loafing turn, and thankfully get Yawned instead of Facaded. Zuko uses 2 Bulk Ups before waking up with a berry, but then slacking Yawns yet again. Okay, hopefully I can wake up soon. I use a Flame Charge to get a speed boost, and then fall asleep. Slacking only hits me twice, but with no crits, before I wake up and almost kill with a Double Kick. The slacking gets healed, but with all of my boosts, Double Kick is now a 2, or is it a 4, hit KO. The Lanoon is next, but I outspeed and knock it out. Last is the not fast Sloth, who is also outsped and dies. Honestly, I didn't realize how difficult some of these fights were going to be. I kind of thought that having a team of pure Pokemon starters, who tend to be pretty strong, would make the game easy, but it's been a lot more difficult than I anticipated. After the fight, Wally's dad barges in and says he has to talk to me. It must be really important if we need to go to his place. Nope, he just wants to give me Surf, without letting my dad know for some reason. I don't care, I don't like my dad anyway. I catch Madara, the Torchic, who is adamant and has speed boost. I am really looking forward to using this chicken. But first, I run into Steven, who endorses my current run, saying that it's okay to only use my favorite type of Pokemon. You're darn right it is, and I don't need your permission, man. And then this random old guy gives me his permission to call him the Berry Master? Yeah, that's not gonna happen. At the Weather Institute, I'm having too much fun shockwaving all these Aqua Grunts with Mustang that he goes above the level cap without me realizing it. That kinda sucks, because Shockwave would have been very useful against Winona. I encounter not Professor Birch again, and I need to be careful that I don't overlevel even more of my Pokemon. Zuko gets fake outed by the Lombre, but becomes normal type with a Headbutt because he can't learn Return. The Lombre falls after butting heads twice, and this brings out the Marshtomp, but I obviously can't swap. Thankfully, he also dies to 2 Headbutts after I take a chunk from a Mud Bomb. Last is Slugma, who Zuko could certainly take, but I don't want to go above the level cap in case I need to use him for Winona. So, I pivot to Ace on a Rock Slide, and then immediately into Escanor on a Clear Smog. And now, it's time to use Rollout again, but it's just for one Pokemon, it's not super important. Thankfully, Slugma goes down, and Zuko does not level up, even though I don't actually end up using him in the next fight. Spoiler alert, I totally forgot there was a random Kecleon here behind the sign, and I just ran into open space. Cool. Anyway, on to Winona. I lead with Madara, and I'm just going to start with a few bulk ups. The Swablu is weak enough that even a crit won't ruin my plans here, but 2 crits would. However, since she used Safeguard on the second turn, I decide to use 1 more bulk up because why not? And I've gotten so many speed boosts at this point that nothing can stop me. A single Rock Tomb takes out the Cloud as I level up, bringing out the Dinosaur that should not be able to fly. Just look at how huge that thing is. I take it out with a Flame Charge, getting a very unnecessary speed boost in the process. Next is Pelipper, who should die as long as Rock Tomb doesn't miss, which it doesn't. Skarmory comes out next and dies to a single Flame Charge. Last is the Cloud Dragon Altaria, who also dies in a single hit. I'm moving up in the world now. Notice that in this fight, I relied on a 95% accurate rock move as opposed to a 90% accurate rock move. Improvement. My second to last starter is Natsu, the modest Cyndaquil with Flash Fire, which is a cool ability, but there aren't a ton of fire Pokemon in Hoenn, so I probably should have stuck with Blaze. After evolving a few of my peeps, we have the last maid battle. I start with Madara, and I want to do another bulk up sweep, but her Tropius has other plans. He whirlwinds me right away, and Zuko gets his accuracy lowered, so I swap into Endeavor on yet another whirlwind, bringing Madara back out. Alright, time for a bulk up strat. Unless I get winded again, bringing out Escanor. Okay, I've had enough of this dinosaur, so it dies with a Heat Crash. The Marshtomp does a heck of a lot more to me than I do to it, so it's time for Endeavor to come out for the attack drop and kill in a couple of bites. May's Slugma is immediately eaten, bringing out her last Pokemon, Ludicolo, who just uses Astonish and then falls in 2 hits. I don't want to jinx anything, but now that my peeps have fully evolved, they are unstoppable. They're so good, in fact, that after doing the Mount Pyre stuff, I realize they have Pokerus. What absolute beasts! I enter Team Magma's secret volcano hideout, which makes a lot more sense than their island base in Ruby, just in time to see Maxie scare off Groudon with a blue light. And rather than take responsibility for his own stupidity, he blames me. Of course he does. We have another battle, where we once again start by intimidating each other, as Madara immediately comes out on a scary face. Well, that was a waste of turn. Speed drops don't bother me at all. I use bulk up a single time before getting taunted. Alright, fine. Flame Charge it is. A few turns of that, and the taunt wears off, allowing me to get buff one more time. Camerupt is next, but since he doesn't have Magnitude or Earthquake, I'm safe to hide underground and kill him in one dig, because this chicken can actually learn Dig. Last is the Crobat, but I outspeed and take it out with some rocks. Man, speed boost is awesome. I try to destroy Richie too, but he narrowly avoids it by using a stolen boat. Huh, I guess he really is a pirate. Anyway, to chase him, I need to learn how to breathe underwater, so I head to the Psychic Gym where I can learn that. Against Claydol and Xatu, I lead with Zuko and Endeavor. The Intimidate should help me survive the Earthquake, but just to be sure, Zuko uses Headbutt to become Normal type, as Endeavor tanks an Earthquake and kills the Claydol with a Bite. Which is great, but for some reason Earthquake didn't hit Zuko. That's really weird. Had I known that it wouldn't hit him, I would have swapped Zuko and Endeavor's positions. Oh well. The Lunatone comes out next, just waste turns with a Calm Mind, like the Xatu's been doing, and they both fall without doing any damage. Last is Solrock, who survives the 2-on-1 for the first turn, but then gets flinched, meaning he also dies without doing any damage. That went a lot smoother than I thought it would. Claydol's Earthquake was not as scary as it seemed. These twins deem me worthy of diving, and that's exactly what I do. After getting a solar-powered Agumon, that is. Nice. Finally, I get to use my favorite fire starter. Oh, I also bend some rules real quick, but at least I'm honest about them, right? You see, it's lame to have a fire monkey with Iron Fist, but no punching moves. So, I give him access to a few punching moves that he learns in other generations, either through TMs or move tutors. I do the same thing with Mustang and Grassknot too, by the way. And in case you're wondering, yes, it's just a coincidence that I'm letting my guys learn electric and grass moves right now. It has nothing to do with any upcoming Team Aqua fights, or the fact that the 8th water gym is quickly approaching. How dare you impugn my honor? Oh yeah, I also have one last fight against Maxie, but Steven's on my side. I'm not going to relay this fight step by step for one simple reason. Madara never gets touched. I just set up with a few bulk ups, and then outspeed and destroy everything in my path. Steven, on the other hand, lost 2 of his Pokemon in this fight. Thanks for attracting their moves, I really appreciate it. Even though I had already beaten up Max twice already, all it took, apparently, was Steven to come in, sacrifice 2 of his Pokemon for Maxie to realize the error of his ways. And now, we dive right into Team Aqua's hideout, which coincidentally just so happens to be the name of the YouTube channel where I learned how to get this ROM hack and how to make my own. So go check him out, he's good people. This pirate thinks he can take me, but he obviously can't. I lead with Mustang, who gets scared but baits out a crunch, letting me safely bring out Ace. It's time to try out his new moves. The Hyena dies in one power-up punch. I thought he would take at least a little bit more than that, bringing out the Sharpedo, who dies in a Thunder Punch. Last is Crobat, who also dies in a Thunder Punch. Go Ace! In spite of my victory though, Archie tries to control Kyogre with a red light, but that's not his color, so he books it to go fight Groudon. And look, I like Groudon as much as the next guy, but how in the world are these Pokemon evenly matched? I mean, putting aside the fact that Groudon is ground type, Kyogre is water, just look at these two. Groudon has like 10 feet of rock to stand on, while Kyogre has the entire ocean? How is that a fair fight? But that doesn't stop this kid from admiring this fight. Wicked indeed, my young friend. Archie and Maxie are standing by the sidelines, blocking the gym, I might add, trying to tell Kyogre and Groudon what to do, which is about as effective as you yelling at your TV when your favorite sports team is playing. In other words, it's all up to me. To get these two siblings to stop fighting, I, naturally, tell their green mom, who descends from the heavens, to yell at them, as moms tend to do. Kyogre just sinks into the ocean because he feels sad and depressed, but Groudon just backs up and disappears? Where does he go? I mean, we're in a basin surrounded by mountains. Unsure how to feel about this new development, I asked this kid's opinion again, and it was still wicked. Good to know. I get through this ice puzzle like a champ, I have played this game a lot recently, and begin the fight with Wallace's mentor, Juan. The Love Disc will fall in 2 power-up punches, and even a critical water pulse won't take me out. I also have a Parasomberry, just in case. With that +2 attack, the rest of the gym should be really simple. A close combat takes out the Wish Cache. I use a power-up punch on the Celio because why not? Another power-up punch for the Crawdont, and last is a close combat for the Kingdra. What did I tell you? I didn't even need Thunder Punch. It was a complete coincidence. Jumping ahead to Victory Road, I forgot that Wally shows up quite a bit earlier in Emerald than he does in Sapphire and Ruby, so I'm not entirely prepared for this fight, but I think I can manage. Mustang needs 2 Psyshocks to take out the Altaria, letting it get off a Dragon Dance, which is always scary, and then she just uses Safeguard. That was pointless. Out comes Delcatty, who immediately dies to a single Flamethrower. And the same thing happens to the Magneton. The Gardevoir comes out, uses Future Sight, and barely survives a second Flamethrower to begin setting up Calm Minds. On a full restore, I pivot to Endeavor to avoid the Future Sight, and I would kill with Darkest Lariat if Gardevoir weren't Fairy type. Huh. I kinda forgot that this version of Emerald has the Fairy type in it. Oh well. Either way, he just sets up another Calm Mind, and then dies. Last is Roselia, who I kill in a single Fire Fang. I may not have known he was coming up just yet, but it's a good thing I had Mustang out in front, because he has some pretty incredible range. After getting lost for a good long while, I don't like this Victory Road, I eventually find my way out and get to the Elite Four. Here we go. Before we begin though, I do need to point out I decided to make TMs reusable here, because why not? Okay, now we can begin with Sydney. I could easily sweep this guy with either Ace or Madara because they're both super fast and fighting Pokemon, but we need to give Agumon some time to shine. So, I start with Sunny Day to activate Solar Power, which boosts my special attack by 50% in exchange for losing some health every turn. The Mightyena Sand attacks me, which actually really sucks, and it might make me die. We'll see. He still dies in 1 solar boosted Flamethrower, thankfully, as I heal a bit with Shell Bell. This baits out the Crawdont, but I have a 1-turn Solar Beam that thankfully doesn't miss. The Absol comes out next, and dies to a single Flamethrower. It should come as no surprise that his last 2 Pokemon, Cacturn and Shiftry, also died to a Flamethrower each. While I certainly got lucky that I didn't miss after that Sand attack, even the Crawdont wouldn't have been too bad because the sun was up, so it would have lessened his water moves. Against Phoebe, I actually forgot to level up my Pokemon. I was just so excited to take her down. So I'm a little bit underleveled, but that's okay. A Black Glasses Endeavor one-shots the first Dusclops, as well as the second, only slightly stronger Dusclops. The Sableye survives a hit, and does almost nothing with a Shadow Ball, though it does lower my special defense. The Bayonet actually outspeeds me, which wasn't supposed to happen, hits me with another weak Shadow Ball, but then dies the next hit. I guess I probably would have outsped at the level cap, but that's not the level I am. Anyway, I kill her, level up, and do manage to outspeed the next Bayonet, knocking her right out. And now it's on to Glacia. Once again, for this fight, I could do a sweep with either Ace or Madara, but let's see if Mustang has what it takes. Even though the Celio is water type, he doesn't have any water moves, so I'm guaranteed to survive even a crit. This lets me set up a single Calm Mind as he just uses Hail. That's fine, and then he dies in a Grass Knot. The Glalie, as you might imagine, dies to a Flamethrower. The second Glalie, as you still might imagine, dies to a Flamethrower. Next is the Walrein, and he's the reason I needed to set up a Calm Mind, but with the special attack boost, that big girl is guaranteed to go down in one hit. Last is another Celio, but you get the idea. That was awesome. Good job, Mustang. And now, it's finally time for Madara to shine. I've been waiting for this one. I lead with Madara, and I need to get 3 bulk ups so I can sweep his entire team. Thankfully, the Rock Tomb speed drop is cancelled by my speed boosts, and since I'm fighting, it's not super effective. After getting 3 bulk ups, I smack the Shelgon with Return, which is a weird name for a move by the way, and I heal with a Shell Bell. The Altaria comes out and also dies to a Return. Okay, basically everybody dies to Return. Kingdra and the Flygon too. Last is his Salamence, who lowers my attack, so I just use Brave Bird instead and still knock him out in one hit. Again, can I say how much I freaking love Speed Boost? It's probably my favorite Firestarter hidden ability. Maybe one of my favorite abilities of all time. It's awesome. Right up there with Moxie, in my opinion. Wallace is going to be a bit of a challenge with his Water-type Pokemon, but we'll see how it goes. I start with Mustang, and out comes the Sun, as Wailord immediately gets a crit Water Spout. Well, that's just great. I mean, it didn't kill me because of the Sun, but the next Pokemon probably will, depending on who it is. And I'm afraid I know who it's going to be. With the Sun, I get a 1-turn Solar Beam to kill the Wailord, and out comes Tentacruel, which is what I was afraid of. A Psychic barely misses out on the kill, and then a Sludge Bomb takes me out. Dang it. I decide to bring out Ace and use a Power-Up Punch as the Squid heals. With the Sun still up, I should survive a hit, but it is pretty close, actually. After 2 Power-Up Punches, a Thunder Punch takes him out. The Ludicolo falls to a Fire Punch. The Wishcash actually requires a close combat, and the Gyarados intimidates me, but still dies in a Thunder Punch. Last is Milotic, but just one more punch full of thunder, and I am the new Hoenn champion. But we're not done yet, so hang tight. We'll roll the credits in a bit. But first, after becoming the most powerful Pokemon champion in the region, I do what all successful people do. Move back in with my mommy. Gotta save on that rent. Oh, and now that I'm a big shot trainer, my deadbeat dad finally has time to be a father all of a sudden. It's too late for that, man. Then, Birch gives me a national dex to find Pokemon not normally seen in Hoenn. Been there, done that. Okay, the real reason the video is still going is because in Emerald, after you beat the Elite Four, you can find Steven hanging out in Meteor Falls. After I interrupt his excavation, he gives me a stony expression. See what I did there? And we start the last fight. He begins with Skarmory against Agumon, who has a very special surprise, a Mega Evolution. Even though Mega Charizard X looks way cooler, Y has always been my favorite. A drought-boosted Flamethrower is more than enough to take out this metal bird. Next is Claydol, who also dies to some flames. Now, the Aggron has Sturdy, and he will retaliate with Thunder, but even a crit won't kill me. So as long as I don't get paralyzed, I get paralyzed. That's perfect. Okay, time to change my strat. Anticipating a heal, I swap into Ace on another Thunder, but it doesn't paralyze me, at least. And as you might have guessed, the Aggron dies in just a couple of power-up punches. And now, I'm just going to sweep his team. The Armaldo takes a close combat to the face. The Metagross takes a Fire Punch to the face, and the Cradily takes another close combat to the face. Eat it, Steven. I am a bit bummed here because I wanted to sweep with a Mega Agumon, also known as War Greymon, but he wouldn't let me do it. That's lame. Alright, but now it's the time you've all been waiting for. Ranking the starters. Now, to be fair, since the ranking is based on how useful they were in this run specifically, it'll 100% be biased towards the Pokemon I got a little bit earlier. In last place, we have Cyndaquil. Don't get me wrong, I love this little guy, but Flashfire and Hoenn, coupled with the fact that I got him so late in the game, meant he saw basically no battle. Next, we have Charmander. And as much as I hate to put my favorite Pokemon this low on the list, he just never really had a chance to shine. Solar Power is freaking awesome though. Next is Tepig. He's probably my least favorite fire starter, so I'm sorry if you really love him, but I do have to admit that without his rollout, and the stupid luck that I had, there were a number of semi-early fights that would have gone a lot worse. In 5th place we have Litten. Intimidate is always useful in Nuzlocke runs, and this run proved no different. I've actually come to like Incineroar just a bit more because of this run. I still think it's stupid though, that he's basically another firefighting Pokemon. Game Freak just pretended that he's going to be dark instead. That's not really how it works. He's a wrestler, for goodness sake. Tied for 3rd and 4th place, we have Chimchar and Torchic. A power-up punch is pretty incredible, especially when you couple it with Thunder Punches and close combats. But a Speed Boost Blaziken is also pretty incredible. It means I don't have to worry about speed EVs, and he's going to be faster than everybody anyway. Basically, they were both pretty awesome. In 2nd place, we have Fennekin. While he didn't see as much gym action as some of the other Pokemon, getting Shockwave after the Watson fight was invaluable. Couple that with his access to Psychic moves, and he really helped me out in countless minor battles that were not worthy of showing. But without him, we would certainly have had a higher death count. And in 1st place, you obviously know who it is, it's Scorbunny. As I said at the start, without him and his fantastic hidden ability, this run would have never gotten past the 1st gym. So obviously, he has to be at the top. And that's that. That was a pretty interesting run. And it was great to finally do a Fire Nuzlocke, even though it did have a bit of a twist. I want to repeat this run with the water and grass starters sometime later, so let me know which of these you'd like to see first. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But most importantly, no matter what anyone on the internet tells you, Charmander is actually the best fire starter. Don't listen to idiots who tell you otherwise, including this one.